Hey guys, Tarek here, back with another video. So we're going to talk about 5 reasons why Bitcoin will always go up in price. So I think a lot of people are wondering what actually makes Bitcoin go up. So we all know that Bitcoin's price goes up when more people buy it, okay? So in markets, basic economics, we have supply and demand. So when the demand for an item goes up and the supply doesn't increase substantially, that makes the price goes up. But that's just simple economics, guys. Let's really dig into the nitty gritty so I can explain to you exactly why Bitcoin goes up. So make sure to watch to the end of this video because it's going to debunk a lot of common misconceptions and a lot of FUD, fear, which is an acronym for fear, uncertainty, and doubt, about why Bitcoin will always go up in price. So if you guys are already like an expert or advanced Bitcoiner, you probably already know some of this stuff. But if you're a complete beginner, this will shock you and really open your eyes to why so many people are using Bitcoin as the best modern day savings account. So let's get right into it. Okay. Reason number one, Bitcoin is a deflationary currency while fiat, aka government money, is inflationary currency. I'm going to repeat that again. Bitcoin is a deflationary currency while fiat currencies are inflationary currencies. So what does this mean? Well, by deflationary, it means that the amount of Bitcoin going into circulation every 4 years is going down. And this is caused by the Bitcoin halving event. The Bitcoin halving event basically decreases the amount of Bitcoin going into circulation via the miners every day, every 4 years. Okay, so the Genesis block, meaning the first block of Bitcoin, released around 50 Bitcoin per day. Okay, now the current Bitcoin block only releases around 3.15 Bitcoin per day. Okay, so Bitcoin's been around for like 16 years, so every 4 years, the amount gets cut in half, right? So we go from 50 to 25 Bitcoin released every block. Okay. So from 50 every block to 25 every block. That's the first 4 years. And then after the next halving, it went from 25 released every block to 12.5. And then after that halving, it went from 12.5 to 6.25 Bitcoin released every block. And now currently the amount of Bitcoin released every block is 3.125. So what this does is it makes everything cheaper. It makes your spending power, increases your spending power, and it makes everything cheaper because the amount of Bitcoin going into circulation every block, which is every 10 minutes and every day, is going down. Now, on the flip side of that, the amount of fiat going into circulation is always going up. Okay, we've seen over time the purchasing power of government currencies continues to go down and down and down and down. And that's simply because the governments keep printing money. And the reason that governments must have to print money is due to interest. Okay, interest must be paid on your money. So remember, guys, there are no free lunches. So when a lot of you guys out there are preaching, oh, I'm going to invest in a high yield savings account, just realize that high yield savings accounts that pay interest are one of the reasons why we have inflation. Where's the money coming from to pay interest? It's obviously coming from the new government fiat that's issued by the US Treasury and the central banks. So, like I said, no free lunches. And that's one of the reasons why Bitcoin will always go up in price because it's deflationary. So, when you have something that's limiting the supply every 4 years into circulation, and then you have on the other hand, the amount of currency, it keeps going up. Well, this just makes the price of Bitcoin continue to go up. So Bitcoin is deflationary currency, and you're going to watch your spending power increase, even though you don't necessarily purchase any more Bitcoin. Really phenomenal. The second reason why Bitcoin will always go up in price is due to scarcity. Okay, so in life, fixed things are valuable, right? Land, okay, fixed, right? Gold is a fixed amount of gold. There's a fixed amount of silver, right? Even your body is fixed. Once you become an adult, it stops growing. Okay? There are certain things on earth that are fixed, and fixed things are valuable. Now, if you were to go purchase a gold coin, right, or a plot of land, this is going to be, expensive. But something that can be mass produced into infinity, right? For example, maybe something like a really, really cheap baseball card okay, or a water bottle, things like that aren't very valuable because they can be made very easily. So the fact that there's only 21 million Bitcoin makes it very valuable, okay? Literally 21 million Bitcoin. If you guys are watching this from the United States, there's around 350 Americans, probably more than that, but let's just say 350. So with only 21 million Bitcoin in total circulation, remember there's still over 1 million Bitcoin that haven't been mined yet. So there's really only about like 19.9 million Bitcoin in total circulation as of now. There's just not enough Bitcoin to go around. Okay, every American can't have a Bitcoin. And with probably around 60 million or so millionaires on earth, even every millionaire can't have a Bitcoin. So when in life, scarce things are valuable, right? There's not an unlimited amount of Ferraris. That's why a Ferrari is expensive. There's not an unlimited amount of Lamborghinis. That's why a Lamborghini is expensive. There's not an unlimited amount of mega mansions. Okay, mega mansions in LA or Miami. They're very expensive because there aren't so many of them. So what is scarce is valuable, and Bitcoin is one of the most scarce cryptocurrencies out there. That's one of the reasons why it would always go up in price. The third reason is supply and demand. Like I mentioned earlier about Bitcoin's fixed total supply of 21 million coins, the demand for Bitcoin seems to go up every 4 years, okay? Most recently, during the recent halving event in April 2024, Wall Street got involved with institutional adoption, okay? That was huge because in 2024, a lot of institutional investors said, wow, Bitcoin keeps going up. We need to own some of this. And then before that, 4 years before that, in 2020, during the previous halving event, in 2020, a lot of people had money sitting, in stimulus checks and stuff like that. They decided to invest the money in Bitcoin during the lockdowns. So usually Bitcoin is always going to have more demand every 4 years because as the halving event happens and the amount of Bitcoin going into circulation every day starts decreasing, it seems like there's a new group that comes on board. And I truly believe that the masses will be on Bitcoin in 2028, okay? That will give President Donald Trump 3 years to promote the National Bitcoin Reserve in the United States. More and more people are going to experience higher cost of living and get frustrated and think about, unaliving themselves just to kind of reduce the pain and the frustration of having to constantly pay bills. And more people are going to be looking for a solution. How do they get off the fiat currency treadmill? How do they actually have a savings that lasts until retirement so they're not in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, having to worry about paying bills and possibly coming out of retirement? Bitcoin is that solution. And the reason is simply it will always go up in price because demand will always increase every 4 years as the scarcity increases. Okay. And so 2028, I think, is a big year for mass adoption. Should be interesting. The fourth reason why Bitcoin will always go up is institutional investment demand. So this is a big difference from just general demand. Institutional investment is basically not guys like us. Okay, if you guys are watching this, you're like, average hardworking American, or you live outside the United States, you have your own business, or you're working your job, you're taking care of yourself, you're taking care of your family. Okay, you are considered a retail investor. So even though retail investors like us, we have a lot of money, there's a lot of institutional investors. And even some of you guys watching this are institutional investors. Maybe you work for a hedge fund. Maybe you are managing a pension. Maybe you have a job on Wall Street and you're a trader or whatever. Whatever the case may be, institutional demand will make Bitcoin's price soar. Now, institutional demand really only came in about August 2020 when Michael Saylor, executive chairman of Strategy, that's the largest corporate Bitcoin holder on the planet. Okay, that currently, as of recording this video, they have over 500,000 Bitcoin and counting. He basically raised his hand and said, hey, we have a problem. Companies that save in fiat dollars on their balance sheet are high-risk companies. They have a higher risk of going bankrupt. They have a higher risk of the company's retained earnings decreasing in case of reduced revenue. And third of all, they don't give investors a reason to trust them. Why invest in your company? Yes, you have products and services, but what else? So when Michael Saylor in August 2020 added Bitcoin to Strategy's balance sheet, which is ticker symbol MSTR, in case you guys want to invest in that company, he increased the value of the company about 2,000%. The stock went up about 2,000% in under 5 years. So it's outperformed every other asset out there on Wall Street simply by basically, instead of holding dollars on the balance sheet, holding Bitcoin. And more people are going to push and circulate Bitcoin adoption through institutions. Okay, BlackRock CEO Larry Fink. BlackRock is the largest institutional money manager on the planet. They manage literally trillions and trillions of dollars in capital. He's very pro Bitcoin. He's been all over the news talking about Bitcoin. Of course, I mentioned Michael Saylor as well. He has podcasts, okay? He's active on X, he's active on Instagram, pushing the gospel of Bitcoin, getting other CEOs and CFOs to really take a look at this Bitcoin thing and say, maybe I should take a look at this. If I have Bitcoin on my balance sheet, my company is more likely to survive any economic downturns, any drop in sales, any lawsuits, etc. And finally, Donald Trump, okay, the president of the United States, is very, very pro Bitcoin. So he was elected president, okay, and he won the election in November 2024, and now he's currently serving as president. He's going to currently serve his second term as president from January 2025 until January 2029. Now, eventually, Donald Trump will step down as president of the United States, but his effect on crypto will not be forgotten. He's already set up a strategic crypto reserve that includes Bitcoin, and he's going to push the United States to buy lots of Bitcoin and store it on the basically store it as a nation as a nation state, on the United States government balance sheet. And usually, when the United States does something, other countries will copy. So right now, there's only a few countries that have Bitcoin as their reserve currency. I believe El Salvador, Bahrain. There's really only a few countries. But if the United States does this, actually, buys Bitcoin outright, many other countries will follow. So this institutional money, this money that is coming from the big investment banks, okay, governments as well. We can kind of consider governments an institution because the United States is technically a corporation. Okay, all of this new money that's coming into crypto, but especially Bitcoin, will make Bitcoin's price go up. And that just started in January 2024 when Wall Street launched the Bitcoin ETFs. But the real institutional investment demand for Bitcoin has really just started in August 2020. So it's very early in this kind of movement of all of this capital flooding into Bitcoin. So this is one of the reasons the institutions, when they buy assets, they want the price to go up. Just like they buy a bunch of real estate, they want it to go up. They invest in the stock market, they want it to go up. They want Bitcoin to go up as well. They're going to be pushing it. And the fifth reason, and probably the biggest reason that's really going to send Bitcoin to the moon and make you guys that are holding it a ton of money. Most of Bitcoin's gains are in the future. Bitcoin is only 16 years old as of recording this video. It's got a lot of gas left in its tank. People are tired of the cost of living always going up. This is a problem that is affecting everyone in the world. Everyone's having to do with inflation, which is basically prices always going up. And people are having to spend more and more and more money on the same stuff that was cheap when they were a kid. And it never ends, okay? It's hard to find high-paying jobs, okay? A lot of careers are being replaced with AI. Something has to give. And what really works is saving in a hard money like gold or Bitcoin. Now, obviously, you can buy gold. That's great. But Bitcoin is considered like digital gold, okay? And the adoption is going up faster than people were adopting the internet in the 90s. So when I was a kid growing up in the 90s, I had no idea. I'm 38, by the way. I had no idea that the internet would become as ubiquitous and become so popular as it is today. I mean, I remember using America Online to chat, these slow dial-up connections where it was like lagging, where if you went to some suspect sites, like some adult sites, it took minutes to download pictures. So I had no idea that we'd be talking on these 5G connections and social media would take off. And I really think that's going to happen with Bitcoin as well. I really think a lot of people are going to start using Bitcoin, be really appreciative of the ridiculous gains that have been going on. A 70% average annual return over the last 10 years, up 33,000% over the last 10 years. So I think a lot of people are going to start really, really, really feeling good about Bitcoin, and that's mass adoption. Now, currently, crypto adoption is only about 3 to 6% of the population, whereas right now, about 60 to 65% of the global population has internet. So eventually, I believe Bitcoin and crypto will move in that direction. So we're probably going to go from around 6% adoption to over 50%. So most likely, probably in the next I'd say 5 to 10 years, almost everyone with an internet connection will have some form of crypto. Just like most people with an internet connection have some sort of social media, right? So as we move into web, now social media is web 2.0, as we move into web 3.0, where's the metaverse, where we're able to connect, with everything, that's when you're really going to see crypto take off. So Bitcoin's price will go up. I believe crypto as a whole, just right now, it's sitting at anywhere between a $2 to $3 trillion market cap, the entire cryptocurrency market cap. I really believe that will go to 5 trillion, 10 trillion, 20, and so on and so on. And Bitcoin will be a big bulk of those gains due to high Bitcoin dominance. So, like I said, guys, these are the 5 reasons why I believe Bitcoin will always go up in price. It hasn't proved me wrong yet. Buying Bitcoin has been a ridiculously smart investment. It's easy to understand. You don't need a fancy master's degree. You don't need to spend 10,000 hours studying it. Just study the basics of Bitcoin. Learn why the price is always going up, and learn why many smart investors, both retail investors and institutional investors, are putting their money into Bitcoin. Now, there's many different ways you can get into Bitcoin. You can buy it outright on a cryptocurrency exchange. You can invest in ETFs, or you can simply buy Bitcoin and take it into private custody yourself and hold it on a cold wallet or a software wallet. So, like I said, guys, get in the game. If you guys have any more questions about why Bitcoin goes up in price, I'll be happy to answer them in the comment section below. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoy my content, please smash the like button and the subscribe button. Really helps me out. So that's all I got until next video, guys. Thanks again for watching. Take care.